talking about Kala Sarpa Yoga, when all the planets exist between the nodes. It shows a specific type of confusing energy, whether in the sky or in a natal chart. So I break it down for you here. Today about the Kala Sarpa Yoga, that is a phenomena that happens in Vedic astrology when all the planets exist between the nodes of Rahu and Ketu. And some people, perhaps, in their mind, rightly dispute that there's any such thing as Kala Sarpa Yoga or that it has any impact or effect, because it's not written in any formal texts and things like that, which I think that's true. I haven't looked at every single text, but I've not seen it mentioned in, Brihat Jataka or Paladipika. I don't think it's in those texts. I'm not sure if it's in some of the later texts or others. But the phenomena is important to understand, and it's when all the planets are in between Rahu and Ketu in the sky. And of course, this exists in a natal chart. If someone has that in their natal chart, that'll be important. And also in the sky, the transits, the life that we're all kind of living and that we're sharing when the planets move, if and when planets move in between the lunar nodes, we wind up with this effect. Now, the effect is that we're kind of in this grip of confusion and illusion. And the grip of the illusion and confusion revolves around the signs that the nodes are in. That much we can know. And then whatever your natal chart, whatever the rising sign is in your natal chart, that will also show that house axis. So, for example, if the lunar nodes are in Cancer and Capricorn, then we're going to have this Cancer-Capricorn kind of illusion. And let's say if you're a Taurus, then that's going to fall in between your third and ninth houses. That will be the axis of confusion. And so when this happens, it can happen for months at a time. And as I record this in February of 2018, we just had a Kala Sarpa Yoga finish. So here is the chart. This is a chart of September 15th, 2017, and this is when a Kala Sarpa Yoga began, because you see Venus has just gone inside Rahu, and now all the planets exist between Ketu and Rahu. From September 15th, 2017 until this is January 30th of 2018. You see that Venus has just busted outside because Venus has now gone to a higher degree than Ketu. And so between September 15th, 2017 and January 30th, 2018, we had the planets in between Ketu and Rahu. Now I say they're between Ketu and Rahu because the nodes move in this direction. They move in this direction. If all of the planets would have been up here during that time, then they would have been in between Rahu and Ketu. Rahu would have been on the initiating part, which means that, because the node moves this way, you want to see which one is, which direction the planets are in. And because the nodes move this way, all of the planets were in between Ketu and Rahu. Ketu was initiating the Kala Sarpa Yoga, which means it's a time of finishing a lot of karma associated with whatever Ketu is affecting, which in this case it's Capricorn themes becoming becoming Cancer themes. So since September, so the way you would interpret this particular Kala Sarpa Yoga is since September of, September 15th, 2017, we've been finishing a lot of themes around Capricorn energy, which has to do with security, things like money, wealth, safety, structures that we have socially, even, personally and socially, but things such as, as I say, like the monetary system, insurance, even things like, like your privacy and those kinds of institutions that keep us safe. This is at least on a collective level. On a personal level, again, it also has to do with like your personal finances and money and resources and those structures in your life that you can rely on and that you can depend on. All right? And so those are things that we're kind of finishing a cycle and kind of probing very deeply and penetrating into the nature of those things since September 15th of 2017. Now, you see that that Kala Sarpa Yoga broke technically on January 30th, but many times you don't really consider the Kala Sarpa fully broken until a planet moves out of the same sign, which is generally the way I do it, and that would show that on February 6th, you really saw the Kala Sarpa broken. So since early February of 2018, we've really felt like this kind of tangled up, confused sort of stress around, again, like security, structure, boundaries, becoming sort of dissolved into the ocean of, let's say, things like love and trust and openness, which is the Cancer principle. All of those things have been playing out in our personal life and also in our collective world. We can see them. And so if you're experiencing a shift and a change since early February, where you're less kind of stressed and tangled up and worried that you don't have everything under control, or worried that the structure in your life and the boundaries in your life and those things that you've made a commitment to, which is Saturn themes and also especially Capricorn themes, if you've been worried about that, you may feel a real lightening up of that since early February, since February 6th, which is when you can see, this is when I really consider that it changes, right? And you even see by February 6th, the sun has also broken out of the Kala Sarpa Yoga, right? And of course, this, at least as I record this in 2018, on February 20th, 2018, this also coincided with an eclipse cycle. And it also coincided with a couple other news items that I spoke about, one of them being the whole sort of cryptocurrency market. And, I did a case study on Bitcoin, and when you even see the chart of Bitcoin, it has a Cancer ascendant, so it's right along this axis of Cancer and Capricorn, and really shows that whole kind of theme of literally cryptocurrency, which is really a hedge against, international, banking and fiat capital, something where individuals can, can really park their money in something that's safe and secure and underwritten, by actual, by something actually virtual, virtually actual or something. So anyway, but we see those themes playing out in a collective way and also in a personal way in your life. So again, this is one of the reasons why I do rely on the Kala Sarpa Yoga when I see it in a natal chart, when I know we're dealing with it collectively. This is what you would expect. So, go back and look at charts where you see a Kala Sarpa Yoga. Look at periods of time when intensity and confusion really kind of grip us and you'll see this effect. I will say that as I'm recording this February 20th, 2018, having just gone through this sort of circuit of Kala-Sarpa energy, it feels very right to me that we've just passed through that, because now you see Mercury, Sun, and Venus, are all three of them are in the next sign. So the Kala-Sarpa is totally broken at this point. But those 4.5 months, pretty intense around, again, safety, security, feeling like you're uncertain about taking a chance, about taking a risk. These are the things that you could have really experienced. Because, you know, Capricorn energy, which again, Ketu is really leading the Kala-Sarpa because the planets were in between them based on the direction of Ketu. And that Capricorn energy is really about holding on to what you have, fearing the risks involved, not feeling as open to, you know, again, take a chance and try something new. Now with the, you know, with the planets breaking out of that, and you have Sun, Mercury, Venus in Aquarius, it's much more free and open. By the way, people are saying, well, what about the moon? Doesn't the moon break the Kala-Sarpa? Yeah, every month for half of the time, the moon breaks out of the Kala-Sarpa yoga. Okay, so that means that our mind experiences some of that, you know, looseness and freedom during that time. But still, with every other planet in between the nodes like that, it's going to be that, you know, those periods when the moon breaks out is going to be within that construct. Every other planet is in the Kala-Sarpa. But it also really made for intense cycles when, you know, for example, when we had the moon in the Kala-Sarpa, like, you know, if we back up at these times when the moon was in the Kala-Sarpa yoga, especially as it passed through its state of debilitation and whatnot, you know, you would see this is like early 2018. Look, this is like January 12th. We have the full Kala-Sarpa yoga, debilitated moon. You know, the previous month we had the same thing. If you go back the previous month, you know, this was December 14th. You know, we had the full Kala-Sarpa yoga, all the planets in between, and then the moon passes through and it goes over Moon, Jupiter, and Libra, then debilitated in Scorpio with retrograde Mercury and Venus. It's been some intense times. And then, look, Saturn joins the Sun. Moon is still in the Kala-Sarpa yoga. So one of the things that it does show is that in those times when the moon is in the Kala-Sarpa, it's that much more intense. And then what happens is that it breaks out, like, you know, here on December 23rd, and for the couple weeks that the moon is outside the Kala-Sarpa yoga, then it breaks back into it again. So you want to understand Kala-Sarpa, all the planets between Rahu and Ketu, and you judge the leading end of the indicator by which node has all the planets. Like, for instance, if all the planets were here, were up in this part, then Rahu would be leading because the nodes move backwards. So they would have all been between Rahu and Ketu. Because they were on this part of the Kala-Sarpa, they're in between Ketu and Rahu, which means the nodes move this way. So this is the direction. That's how I interpret it anyway. And you can just judge for yourself. Are we more on the sort of security Capricorn, Ketu and Capricorn, focusing stress on the you know, on that part of the node? Or were we really on this Rahu in Cancer kind of exploding our emotions part? Because that's what it would have been if all the planets would have been up here. Then it would have been a lot of emotional, over-emotional tests. Instead, I think it's been much more of this Capricorn, Ketu, and really, in many ways, even with a lot of the social issues that have come out since September. And a lot of this included that Me Too movement and all of that. One could say, you know, one could make an argument that it's more Rahu in Cancer. I've been talking about that being, you know, just the fact that Rahu is in Cancer. I said it immediately that would open up much more of this Divine Mother, reconnecting with the heart and femininity and women, simply because we have Rahu in Cancer, not because of a Kala Sarpa Yoga. Okay, so they're sort of different things. But we can see that all of this destroying of those who have made us, let's say, unsafe, insecure. See, because that Rahu in Cancer showing that we're reasserting, feminine virtues and reconnecting with the heart, that doesn't necessarily entail that we're going to call out all of these sexual abusers. That has to do much more with Capricorn, consequences, making us unsafe, abuse, calling it out. Ketu, saying, this is what you did, and scrutinizing it and blowing it up. That's what Ketu does, blows things up. And it's blowing up these violations of where these men put women in unsafe positions, abused them, injured them, violated them. So again, I see that part of the Kala Sarpa Yoga as being much more of the Ketu and Capricorn eating up the planets between between Capricorn and Cancer, not Cancer and Capricorn. Okay, so this is my interpretation of it, and I think we're going to see a lessening of the extremes in that regard. And one of the other things I want to mention, and I'm going to do another video on it, but we had two major massacres that happened, and both of them happened when the moon got very close to Ketu. Okay, both that Las Vegas shooting, which happened right around here, happened right when the moon was right around here, and the unfortunate shooting in Florida, which happened when when the moon was also right around this area. It was right before the solar eclipse. Right as the moon got close to this Kala Sarpa Yoga, we had those two, got close to the Kala Sarpa Yoga and to Ketu. That's when we had those mass tragedies. So I'll do a future video on that, but this is about the Kala Sarpa Yoga and a time for you to notice that things are opening up now. And it's time to unwind and unravel that kind of pinched up, hunkering down kind of emotional safety and security and even sort of crankiness that can be shown with Ketu and Capricorn. Okay? Planets are now moving outside of that, and we're getting them in these areas where there is more spaciousness and more Aquarius energy. And then they're going to be moving into Pisces, which is a lot more about, sort of metaphysics and things not of this earth. Aquarius has to do with things that we share, more cultural values, more cultured, things that are larger than just our own personal safety and security. So we're feeling more of that spacious Aquarian nature, and then it's going to move to Pisces, which are things that are metaphysical, and then on and on. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you to hear.